Hello, hello, welcome back to my channel. It's me, SB. I am so glad that you are here with me. And yeah, this is what I've been working on for my Christmas holidays. I know it's a little late, but I decided that I wanted to make some mistletoe. And yeah, this is what I've come up with so far. And I just wanted to show you a quick kind of tutorial on how to do this. This is a very free form. You kind of do what you feel. As you can see here, I have some leaves that just have two little leaves in a stem, and then some that are like this, you know, just all different things going on here, as you can see. And I like how they're all kind of organic, you know, they're all a little different. They curl, they do their own thing. You can make them as big or as small as you want. And yeah, so that's my plan, is to make a few more of these and put them into a bunch. Of course, make the berries for it and hang them up so I have an everlasting bunch of mistletoe. So yeah, let's get started. It's really, really easy. You just have to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double. I know, okay, I say you just need to know all of these stitches. I just kind of wanted to be with you guys while I'm completing one of them and kind of showing you how I do it. I got inspired by a Pinterest post of some mistletoe, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna crochet that. So the yarn that I'm using today is actually crochet thread. It is a number 10 in this green color. Of course, you can use whatever color you want, because I actually think mistletoe is a little darker than what I'm using. And I'm using like this ivory color. I'm not really sure what color it is. Eggnog. There we go. It says right there, eggnog. And it's from the brand Artiste. And yeah, it's the brand of Hobby Lobby. But, you know, any brand will do as long as it's the type of yarn that you want to use. For me, it's crochet thread, so this might be considered micro crochet. And I'm using a US 7 1.5 millimeter steel crochet hook. So I'm going to get y'all in nice and close so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we are just going to chain up. I don't count. I usually just do what I feel. You can do 30, you can do 40, you can do 20. You know, it's whatever you feel. Just make sure that your chain is loose enough to work in. And yeah, I'm just going to chain up a random number. It can be odd, it can be even. You know, it really doesn't matter at this point, as long as it's as long as you want it. Okay, I am just going to measure mine against this one, because for this one I'm actually going to add the leaves off to the like lower down and then make my way up. So kind of like, let's see if I can find it, kind of like this one. I know it looks crazy. We can also block these, so I'll kind of show you that too. So I'm going to make it just a bit longer. All right, I think that is sufficient. It's probably about 50 chains here, if you're curious. And I'm just going to chain up an extra one, because in the second chain from the hook, I am going to slip stitch. And you can do single crochets here if you'd like. I just think a slip stitch just gives it that extra stiffness that we need. And I am working through the back bump just to make it look really super crisp. And at this point, I really don't worry too much about tension, because we're not going to be working back through this, because we're working our way up. And I'm just going to work about maybe like a third of the way up, and then that's where I'll stop. So I'm going to say that this is more of a recipe than a pattern, just to give you an idea of how you could do it and just be creative about it. You know, not having to follow a pattern or anything. Now I know it is a little challenging working with crochet thread, but once you get the hang of it, it's, you know, it's like with anything, practice. You know, you get used to working with it. You can use worsted weight yarn, you can use sport weight. Okay, so I'm to the point where I want to start a leaf. Now, I have seen some tutorials where they just make the stem separately and then sew on the leaves, but I'm not real keen on sewing, so I opt to do it this way. So I'm just going to chain from the point from where I stopped here. I'm just going to chain out, let's say 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I chained out 12, and then I'm going to add 2, so plus 2. And we are going to double crochet into the third chain. Now I like to make these leaves just a little bit bigger. So we're going to double crochet into the next chain. And then we're going to treble crochet, just making our way down the chain. Treble crochet again. Double crochet. Double crochet again. Half double. Half double again. Single. And we are going to slip stitch down the rest of our little leaf to create a little stem. For me, I do believe 3 more chains to work into, so that'll be 3 slip stitches. That one won't, there we go. So that's a slip, sorry, I'm getting off frame. Okay, and so there is a leaf. So I'm going to show it to you. So here it is. As you can see, we just worked out like this. And here's the unworked chain that we're going to continue working up. But we're going to move to the other side to create the other side of the leaf. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit fiddly or confusing. But we are going to go back into that same slip stitch where we started our chain to make this leaf. So we're just going to work into that same slip stitch, or yeah, slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch just like that. And then we are going to start chaining, but we're going to turn our work. So that way our unworked chain is to the left. And so that way when we work back down, we can continue working down it. I hope that makes sense. So once again, I'm going to chain up 14. 14. And in the third chain from the hook, I am going to double crochet. Double crochet again. Treble crochet, treble crochet again, we're on treble crochet, double crochet, double crochet again, half double, half double again, single, and then slip stitch down the rest of your chain. All right, so now we should be back at our working chain. Now, if we turned our work, we should be like this. So what I like to do is kind of rotate my work. It's a little wonky, but once you get used to it, you'll get the feel of it. And I like to locate the next bump of my chain. So you can see the little bumps there. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next one, which is a little difficult for me to see because I'm kind of far away. There we go. Slip stitch into that. And now we're just going to make our way back up our chain through the back bump. And I just go maybe 5 or 6, you know, whatever you feel. Either slip stitch or single crochet, whichever is easiest. Okay, so once again, we're going to repeat doing our little leaves the way we did them right here, but I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to chain up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I chain 10 plus 2. In the third chain from the hook, double crochet. And then treble, treble again, double, double one more time, half double, single, and then we're just going to slip stitch down the rest of the chain that we made. Yep. So there's another leaf. And then we're going to go back into that one that we worked. Slip stitch. And here we are. We're going to rotate our work or turn. And we're going to chain up the same amount as the opposite. 1, 2, 3. We're just going to repeat the process making the leaves as big or as small as you want. I like to kind of vary them so that way it looks more organic. So like I might have some leaves that are smaller, some leaves that are bigger. So this is what my little mistletoe stem is looking like. And like I said, they will all come out just slightly different. And that's what you want. You want them to be very, very organic looking. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave y'all to that. You do the basic pattern for the leaves, you know, double, triple, double, half double, single, and then slip stitch. And you get a bunch of different ones, as you can see here. Like this one, I just worked all the way down my chain. I chained up a few and then worked back down. Made my way back down, off to the side, you know. I hope that makes sense. I am gonna finish this up and I will be back to show you how to complete it. All right, as you can see, I have a 1 chain left. I'm just gonna slip stitch into that last chain. And as you can see, we have the tail hanging out. I decided not to add any more leaves because I'm gonna show you how to do like this style here. So basically all you do is you just work all the way up to where your tail is, your starting tail. And then we are going to chain out. So I'm just going to chain out 8. So there's a chain 8 plus 2. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. If I can find it, there we go. And treble crochet into the next. Another treble crochet. Double. So you're basically just working all the leaves the same way, just adding or taking away some of, you know, the doubles and the trebles and stuff. And then half. And single. And you should be back to where our tail's at here. So now we are just going to slip stitch into the top of that last chain. Just like that. And once again, we're going to chain up again, and you can make it a little bigger. And I always like to slip stitch back into that first chain just to reinforce it a little bit. And as you can see, we are making our little top leaves of 3. And once again, we're going to do it all over again. Once again, slip stitch into, just kind of find a good spot just to help reinforce that. And we're done. So now I usually just chain 1 and then I cut my yarn. So we're just going to cut our yarn, pull that thread through, And now we've got a mistletoe, or whatever you want it to be, really. So here it is. We'll just kind of straighten everything out so you can see it. So there's one. And you just make as many as you fill. And we are going to block these just real gently, just to kind of, so they're not like this. I think they look really nice when they're curled, but I kind of want to distinguish them, you know, because as you know, the mistletoe leaves kind of hang as a bunch like this. And I think that looks really cute, but some of them I'm going to kind of block out to the way that I want them to sit. So like there's one that's curling really, really bad. It's this one. So real quick lesson on blocking. We can just wet block these, and that's real simple. You just dip it into some warm water is what I usually do. And then you just spread it out. Let me get my little blocking board that I use. Okay, so I just have, let me zoom this out a little bit. Okay, this is actually a cork board that I got from Walmart, and I just doubled them up. I glued them together. Oh, whoops, hit you guys. And I'm just gonna use the back part of it, so it's, you know, right here. So I got my pins here, and I like to use these because they tend not to rust. So you want some like stainless steel type stuff that's not gonna rust. And we're just gonna start pinning. I'm gonna pin here. I think that looks good. So now I'll get my steamer and I'll just steam it. And my steamer likes to be upright whenever you're steaming, so I'm gonna have to do it off camera. But it's just like a little handheld steamer. I'll put a picture up here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I usually use a distilled water in there just because, you know, it's not gonna leave any residues from minerals and stuff. And I'll be back and I'll show you what it looks like once it's, you know, ready to go. Okay, as you saw, I had a little bit of difficulty holding the camera and doing this, but I just steam blocked it. So I'm just gonna take these out and you're gonna see that it's gonna stay. It's not gonna start like bunching up on itself. And just that little bit of steam, you know, it helps so much. As you can see now, it's not curling or anything the way it was, kind of like these. You see how these curl now and the difference between them. So yeah, quick lesson on blocking with steam. And if you only have, let's say like an iron, you can do it too. You just have to be very careful of your projects. So cotton's not gonna melt or anything. You're fine if you just iron it. But I would be wary of doing that with acrylic. So, you know, some crochet thread is made out of acrylic. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you how to do that. After all that, we're gonna make some berries for these. And these we are gonna have to sew on. I know, it's awful. I hate having to sew anything on, but it must be done. It needs berries, because otherwise people are just gonna think it's seaweed, right? I know this video has been kind of long. So the berries are gonna be really, really simple. I'm still gonna be using my crochet thread. And we're just gonna make a simple little tiny ball. And yeah, you're thinking, how am I gonna do that with crochet thread? So I am gonna do a magic circle. And you complete a magic circle whichever way you'd like. This is my favorite way. And I am just gonna do 6 single crochets. So actually, let me chain another one there just so distinguish that. 2. All right, so now I am going to work 2 sorry. So now I'm going to increase every single stitch. So I'm going to count back 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is my stitch right there. And I am just going to work in spirals. So I need to mark my first stitch. And what I usually do is I just use a contrasting color in crochet thread as well, because it just makes it a lot easier than using a tiny stitch marker or something of that nature. So we just drape it over. We're going to go back into that stitch and we're going to increase every single one. So I'm just going to go up to 12 and I'm going to work maybe like 2 rows of just regular, no increases. This, we're just going to grab that, drape it over. We're just going to single crochet in every single stitch. So I completed my 2 rounds of just straight single crochets. So now we are going to just decrease back down to our original stitch count. So in order to do that, we're just going to simply decrease every single stitch, which is always fun. So we're just going to decrease all the way around, and that's going to be our berry. And we can go ahead and fasten off and all that good jazz. All right, so there is our little berry done. So I'm just going to pull out my stitch marker here. Try to grab it. So now that we're complete, I just slip stitch to that first stitch. And I chain 1, and then I cut my thread, my yarn. Pull through. And you don't even have to stuff your little berry. You could just leave it like that. Now, what I like to do is to take this thread. I don't cut it. I usually just roll it up. And I stuff it inside, so it kind of acts like stuffing, but you don't have to do that. You can just cut it short, and you know, of course I usually do this while I'm working, but I didn't do it this time. And I just stuff it in there, and this will act as the little bit of stuffing that you need for this without actually having to knead any. And there's our tiny little berry. And now with this thread that we left here, we will just kind of find a spot here and just sew it on there. So now I'm going to go and make a million of these to put on all my mistletoe leaves. And yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so I finished what I could, basically. I didn't make that many. I know it's a tangled mess. But as you can see, I got my little berries, and I left the little tail at the top hanging out so we can sew. Now I'm just going to pick a place on some of these. And generally, from the pictures I've seen of actual mistletoe, the berries kind of hang out like right here on the edge of the leaves. So that's where I'm going to put mine. So this is going to be a real simple method of doing it. I didn't close up the top of the berries, but you are more than welcome to do that. I just felt like it wasn't necessary, seeing as we're going to be sewing them onto our little stems here. So what I'm doing is just going through the middle here, wrapping it around. Let's get that out of there. And I'm just going to go through the opposite side. So I went through the middle, and I'm just going to go through the berry itself. Wrap it around. And I'll probably do that like a couple of times just to make sure it's going to stay in place and not fall off. Kind of like a button. Go around. And then whenever I go back to the back part of it, I'm going to flip it around, and I'm just going to go back through my berry and create a loop. Pass it all the way through, and then I'm just going to pass my needle through that loop that I created and kind of lock it in place, and do that one more time. Try to go through the same spot here. There we go. Lock it in place, and then simply just go back through our berry to hide that tail. Snip it. There we go. And now we got a berry on our little mistletoe. So there's one done. So now I'll just kind of figure out where I want to put my other berries. Like some of them I might put 2, like that. Some of them I might just put 1. One of them might not have any. So yeah, that's all we do, is we attach all of our berries. Okay, so I got my little berries sewn on to the ones that I want them to have berries on. As you can see, I left a couple without them, which is perfectly fine. You can also add a whole bunch more and make a bunch more leaves, but you know. So now we are going to gather all these together. And now I am just going to crochet a chain out of red and just tie it around. Let me show you the thread that I'm going to use, and it's just Aunt Lydia's classic crochet thread in tin. And let me see what color this is. It is burgundy. Just gonna chain the fool. tie a nice little bow in it. And I'll probably add a little hanger to it, just like that. And a little bow. Where is it? There we go. Make that a little smaller. Tighten that up. And there we go. There's our little bunch of mistletoes. So now we can hang this up. We can just add a little hanger. We can put it on the tree. We can hang it on the ceiling. Put it up for the holidays. And yeah, we'll be ready to hang out underneath the mistletoe. Bring us good luck forever. So what do you guys think? Will y'all be making some mistletoe for next year? Because I know this video is a little late, but at least I got it out there. Or is it even worth the hassle? I thought it was, obviously, and I hope you enjoy this and you get inspired to do something similar. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. Have a crafty day and happy crocheting. Bye!